As usual, John Emmett, or as often anyways, first on, he's in Weymouth in the lull before the Olympic storm. Christopher Gillingham in the UK in Leamington. Also, Pedro Foiling Sailor on the other end of the planet down in Sydney. Welcome, Pedro, Ian Barker, Michael Gaber, and many others. Alan Long, Michael Frank wishing us a happy 4th already. It's in a couple days, of course, our Independence Day. Hannah Lee Knoll, whom we're going to celebrate up in Scout Country, up in Minnesota. Gordon Smith, you love, wonderful people, he says today, in Denmark. Alan Long is present. Ted Reimann down in Cape Town. Julia, we've really got the planet covered here today.
That's great.
It is nice, isn't it? Clark Chapin, already liked and shared. He's a good man. Let's get this show on the road.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We have got a show for you today. There's audio coming from over there, Julia, somewhere. And welcome to it. Thank you. That's number 434 for the 2nd of July. We're already into the mid part of the bloody 2021. Where does the time go, Julia?
I don't know. Too fast.
It does indeed. We are live from Studio B here, as usual, at the Beach Street Yacht Club. My co-host, Julia Wedekind, landlady, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. We're back together because I'm pleased to say that I tested negative for the 2nd time, so I'm feeling better too, I think. Whatever I have, a cold, as I thought it probably was, but it's not apparently the bloody COVID. Thank you to Andrew McIrvin, Mr. British surgeon Andrew McIrvin, who, by the way, is going to be with us on Tuesday, because we have the other Andrew today. He's standing patiently by at a trattoria in Italy, in Malcesine, Lake Garda. Andrew Pindar is going to be joining us in a second for today's show. It is a buckle up because we got quite a show, a lot of different things. And I think, Julia, people like it when we cover lots of different topics and not just go off on a rant on the America's Cup or on the Olympics or on world sailing. I
think that's true, unless there's something really pending.
Any hot tips before we begin?
No, but I'd like to be in Lago di Garda right now.
You and me both. And in the meantime, you would also like to have everyone watching
like, follow, and share.
Indeed, and we would also be pleased if you would comment. The more comments you leave, the better, and we get hundreds of them. And even in replay, you're welcome to comment, the thousands of you who watch in replay. Support us on Patreon, if you would, patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated. To our friends north of the border, happy Canada Day yesterday on the 1st of July, right? We got to celebrate Canada Day.
Yes.
On the 1st of July, oh, Canada. And, you know, the old joke, I haven't told the joke. Do you mind if I tell the joke? I haven't told it in a long time.
Well, you're allowed.
And my wife's Canadian, so I can tell the joke. You know, they say, oh, Canada? You're from Canada? I thought there were only whores and hockey players. My wife's from Canada, and she is from Canada. My wife's from Canada. Oh, he says, what position does she play? Pindar didn't laugh. He didn't think that was funny. Maybe his wife's from Canada too. I don't know. We'll get to Andrew in a sec. Happy Canada Day belatedly to those of you north of the border. Now today, the 2nd of July here in the U.S. Now, Julie, do you know where that is?
It looks like
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. I was going to say Virginia.
Independence Hall.
Aha.
Officially, the Continental Congress declared that its freedom from Andrew's home country, from Great Britain, on July 2nd, on today, in 1776, when it was voted to approve the Continental Congress voted to approve a resolution submitted by Delegate Richard Henry Lee of Virginia, declaring, quote, that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, and that they are absolved from yada, yada, yada. So the actual resolution to revolt, the revolting colonies, as Pindar and McIrvin and Emmett and the others will have called us and will call it. Now he's smiling. He liked that. Actually took place today in 1776, but of course we celebrate it on the 4th of July because that's when they dated. I'm not sure they actually signed. It took them quite some time to sign the document, the Declaration of Independence. But they're also celebrating this weekend, the July 4th, the 75th anniversary, Julia, of one of your favorite groups, the Blue Angels, who perform here in San Francisco every October for Fleet Week. The Blue Angels was initially formed in 1946, making it the second oldest formal aerobatic team under the same name in the world after the, do you know? Who is the oldest aerobatic team? It's a European team. It's not Brits. It's not Italians. It's the French Patrouille de France, formed in 1931, the Patrol of France. They have the oldest. I didn't know that until you got to do this research.
Yeah.
Now, Pindar, who speaks French better than I, will come back and tell us how to pronounce that name in a minute. Patrouille, I think it is. I went on for a pronunciation guide this morning. Happy 75th to the Blue Angels, and welcome to our show number 434. Without further ado, let's get to Pindar, because he is standing by at a trattoria in Malcesina, one of the garden spots of the world, one of the most beautiful places, one of the great sailing places in the world. Here, we told you on Tuesday, he was with his son in France. He has a home in France, and his son, George, he said he was glad to have survived day one up an Alp in the wake of half-man, half-mountain goat George, his son. He glided up 1,000 meters of vertical in an hour 20. I followed sometime after, but suffice to say he was back at the chalet about the same time I hit the top. Andrew, is that true? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Tom, and I hope you can hear me clearly. I'm in a really busy, excited restaurant here in, I think it's Malcesine. I've got to.
No, Malcesine. Trust me.
No, I'm looking at an Italian who's shaking his head at that pronunciation, Tom. So
well, bring the Italian in. Bring the Italian in. Introduce him or her, and tell us how to pronounce it properly.
The Italian who is the man behind the great thing that Foiling Week has become is Luca Rizzotti. So I think that he knows better than both you and me. So, hey, Luca, pop your head into this screen here and say how we say Malcesine.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Luca.
On behalf of the mayor of Malcesine, I can confirm it is pronounced Malcesine.
Yeah, Malcesine. I was close. Come on, Pindar. Andrew,
we'll give you that one, Tom.
Malcesine.
With you having had a sort of a training COVID, it's man flu type of thing that you had. Your nasal passages are probably a little bit blocked. Yeah, well, it's my hearing passages that are blocked. I have my little earpiece in. Malcesine, not Malcesine. Well, I try to make everything into Spanish and say, hey, slide together, guys, so we can see both Andrew and Luca. Okay. Luca Rizzotti, who's also, you're going to have to overlap your shoulders a bit. Slide in here. So we can get you both in. Come on, get real close. There you go. Even closer. Andrew, you're out of frame. Come in closer. There you go. Perfect. Luca? It's not working.
Luca, welcome. Tell us about Foiling Week. What is this, the 9th, 10th? How many of these have you had now?
This is the 12th one.
12th?
We had 8 in Italy and 2 in Sydney, 1 in Newport, and 1 in Miami. So this is number 12.
Congratulations. And how many at Lake Garda have you done?
8. This is the number 8. The one we are doing at the moment is the number 8.
Will you in future go to other venues besides Garda?
Absolutely. We are going to restart our international program that were stopped by COVID. At some point we were, let's say, involved in the planning of the America's Cup events, including the final stop in Auckland, but then the whole pandemic stopped all of these, and we basically had to just stay in Garda. That was good at the end of the day. I mean, we are lucky that we were able to pull off an event last year in September.
Well, not only in September, but you're lucky to have pulled it off this year as well. What kind of problems have you had? And then we want to get off this COVID stuff and tell us about what's actually happening. But how did you manage to pull it off in the this rising Delta COVID environment?
Well, Delta hasn't hit Italy as yet. The country just moved, to give you an idea, into no masks outside in the last 7 days. So the country more or less is one of the healthiest around Europe, at least in terms of COVID pandemic.
That's good to hear.
And I think there is a good representation of the majority of the European countries, with probably the exception of UK, because of the quarantine on the way back. But every other European country is here at Foiling Week.
So why do you have Pindar involved? I see he's on all the panel discussions. Is he a sponsor? Is he just because he's so bright and well connected in the sport? Or does he arm twist you and make you put him on the panel?
Andrew is a longtime friend and a big fan of Foiling Week, and he's part of the board and of the organization of the whole season. So we are proud to call him #1 fan of Foiling Week.
Well, Luca, you couldn't find a better guy, and he's a FOSI and a regular on this show, as you know. We're delighted to have him on today to give us a full report, and thank you for coming along. I know you're all at dinner together at the Trattoria. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Trattoria was perfect.
Okay. Because Pindar called it a trattoria, like Brits do. It's a trattoria.
You are lying.
Okay.
They did it. I don't believe you.
Luca, congratulations. Give our best regards to everybody, and we'd love, in fact, Julia would like to get over there sometime too. She has been many times, and I don't know if you know, Luca, that my daughter Meg went to college in Lugano. Just, two lakes up from you, up for,
mentioned by you some time ago.
Yeah, hop over Como and exactly, and Lago di Lugano in Ticino in the Italian part of Switzerland, which is arguably even better than Switzerland, even better than Italy. It's the best of both worlds. But the cuisine's still better in Italy.
I go with no comment on Italian Switzerland being the best of both worlds. I leave all the next comments into the caring hands of Andrew Pindar, and thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy the little video that we put together, and I let Andrew go forward with the rest.
Many thanks.
Thank you, Tom, for your time.
Lovely.
Thank you, and congratulations. Thank you. Okay, Pindar, let's get Andrew in here full frame. Andrew, tell us what's going on. Maybe I should start with this, just to people who are geographically challenged, show people where in the world you are. Anybody who doesn't know where Garda is a horse's asterisk. I mean, everybody in the sailing world's got to know where this is. In northern Italy, just south of Switzerland. Lago di Garda, Lake Garda, it's one of absolutely beautiful places in the world, and they're sailing at all ends of the lake. The lake is famous for a northerly coming off the mountains in the morning, downflow, downwash, and then a sea breeze that springs up from the south in the afternoon. So you've got maybe a lull in the middle of the day, at least in the middle of the lake. And they're over there on the east coast in I'm not going to try to say it again, Malchazina, right? But that's where they are, and that's where Andrew is, and he's very kindly agreed because he goes to Foiling Week every year over on the eastern shore of Garda in a trattoria where it is now 22:15. So it's just a proper time, Andrew, to have dinner.
Well, it is, but it's a noisy place at the minute because, of course, the Italians are playing the Belgians at soccer at the minute. And as you might have known, the Spaniards beat in a penalty shootout the Swiss earlier on. So I think the score is currently 2-1 to Italy against Belgium, and Belgium are at the top of the league really normally. So it could be some noise comes in the background from the football game.
Good.
So
well, we hope so.
If that happens.
But let's center yourself up in the shot, please. Now that unless you're going to bring somebody else in, but let's don't talk about football. That's what knocked us off the air when I ran that piece on Tuesday's show, and Facebook blocked us for a day, and then they've kindly let us back and admitted that maybe it was a bit of a mistake because we weren't using copyrighted material. But that's another issue. live from Lago di Garda at Foiling Week. Andrew, in a nutshell, what is Foiling Week?
Well, Foiling Week, I think that Luca Rizzotti and some of his really passionate sailing friends here in Italy saw where the direction of travel was going with the sport of sailing, and decided that it was time that they focused on something that was going to help accelerate and put some guidance and leadership to where foiling is within the sport of sailing. And it's something that they put time and effort and no small amounts of their own investment into to make sure that there is a leadership position being taken to guide things like safety, sustainability, the how you could get coaching, how you could get inclusivity, how you could make sure that there was a proper diversity in play, and they've done an incredible job. So I was impressed when I first learned what Luca and his friends were doing. I wanted to be part of that, and I've been so proud and delighted to be able to come along and to be there. I'm here working for Luca and his friends. I'm doing stuff that they asked me to do, and it's an absolute delight, Tom. So I'm encouraging anybody who's my grey hair and age to listen and find out what's happening with sailing, with foiling within sailing. I'm finding it really exciting, and also to see the leadership position that these people are taking.
Okay, well, again, thank you for all you do for the sport, but particularly for this. You urged us, you pushed us on this Foiling Week coverage as well, and we've been doing it for the last couple of years. And amazingly, they were able to, as you know, as you were there, pulled it off last year during COVID in 2020, albeit in September. Let me play this special video that you had produced, and while I'm playing the video, maybe you can get yourself centered in the shot. We like to see the chef and the servers in the background, but we'd rather see you front and center in the shot. And
is that any better, Tom?
Yeah, that's fine. There you go. In a little more in the middle. We don't care about the lights over your shoulder. Let me play this video, and it's just a minute long, and it's kind of artsy fartsy. It's a little dark, but I think you all will enjoy it, and it gives you an impression of what's going on there at Foiling Week. So, Andrew, there are a lot of people saying, boy, I wish I were there. Stingray and a bunch of others. How many people are there? How many classes? How much is it as forum and discussion and panel discussion, and how much of it is racing and so on?
Yeah, you've got it there in a instant synopsis of a sentence, Tom, in that there are lots of different classes of boats. So there are moths, there are wasps, there are kite foilers, there's wing foilers, there's the whole thing, and then there's the e-foilers, and there are pedal foilers. There's just everything, anything that will get you to break the surface of the water and put some air between you and the surface. All sorts of innovation going on. There's the Sumoth Challenge, which is about sustainability, and students are able to, right from their universities, put together an entry as to how they're going to create a sustainable foiling boat out of old material, different material, recycled material, innovation, recycling, everything like that. And then certainly one of the things that really impressed me early in the game with this, and I saw it again when I arrived here on Tuesday, Wednesday. There was a group of people surrounding Paul Goodison and Tom Slingsby, two names that resonate throughout the whole world of sailing. People who are at the top of the tree, people who are Olympians, who are America's Cup sailors, Sail GP sailors. And I said, Luca, remind me, how much are we as Foiling Week needing to recompense Paul Goodison and Tom Slingsby for giving these coaching sessions? He said, well, it's because they want to do it, Andrew. And I caught up with Paul Goodison and asked him about that. And he said, this is the part of the sport. He said, as those gone on to the Olympics, and I've done America's Cup stuff, and we'll want to do more of that. He said, I love this so much that I want to share my experience, and Tom's the same, to be able to get people so they can race against me. I said, I don't want to see them struggling. I want to share my knowledge so I can get them onto the race course. And that reminded me of the ethos that exists, and you talk about it a lot on Sailing Illustrated, about how to get people who really are passionate within clubs and within different classes, who are sharing and giving quietly, constantly over many, many years, to engage with kids and to bring them through and to get people on the water. And to find that Tom Slingsby and Paul Goodison are happy to do that year in, year out at an event like Foiling Week shows to me that Foiling Week are really in the sweet spot of truth.
And to be fair, it's still what goes on in our sport. We go off about world sailing and some other things, but at the end of the day, it is personal action, it's private action. It's the great idea of a Luca Rosati, supported by you and a bunch of other cool guys, and Slingsby and Goodison and Francesco Bruni. I mean, they had their Moth Europeans, or was it the Worlds? I guess it was the Europeans last week. They sailed, and they were Goody won, and Tommy, I think, was second, and Francesco Bruni, he's co-helming with Spithill in the America's Cup. They were first, second, and third in the Open division, and there were a bunch of Italians that sailed. Yep. Maybe it was the Italian National Championship. But there is so much going on Garda. The Opti, we're going to feature it in a minute. The Opti Worlds are starting today on Lake Garda, and on and on and on. We're even going to celebrate in the what this day in history. We're going to celebrate Italy today, because it is truly one of the great, if not the greatest, sailing nation. We can talk about the UK and France and Australia and New Zealand and a few others, but it's amazing stuff going on there, and bravo Zulu to all of you involved.
Well, that's kind of you, Tom, but I can also say that Scott Over from World Sailing is here, and yesterday David Graham, we did an interview. I was a co-host with Chris Musler. You know Chris, who's a great guy, great advocate for the sport and communicator. And David gave a great interview, which I'm sure you'll be able to pick up on YouTube. So as much as we can all be a critic of world sailing, I can say that world sailing are engaged with Foiling Week and working well with what Luca is doing and picking up on the strength and the direction that's been created here.
Well, that's great to hear. And I have not had the pleasure of meeting David Graham other than, briefly. And I look forward to it. We have not, since he took over, we've been cautiously optimistic that he's going to help right the ship. And speaking of this panel discussion, which was from the day before yesterday? Was this yesterday or the day?
That was just yesterday. Yeah.
Just yesterday. And Chris Musler, who in the upper right corner was hosting from his home in Jamestown, Rhode Island, I gather. Yep. And this is, go ahead.
Sorry about that, Tom. The bit of background noise. He was desperate to get here. He should have been here, but he needs to renew his passport. And as you probably know, there's a long queue at the U.S. passport office. He paid for an expedited delivery and service. But even so, the new passport didn't arrive, so he wasn't able to come across. But we were able to, like this, we were able to use technology. I felt like being behind in your studio B. So I was there yesterday and today again, and we'll be there again tomorrow, doing a bit of co-hosting with the great Chris Musler. So it was fun to be online and using the sort of technology that you and Julia use twice a week and have been doing for so long now.
Well, just on that point of technology, it's astonishing to sit here and think that you are in a trattoria in Italia. We're sitting here in not quite half a world away, but nine time zones away in the West Coast, and we've got people down under another bunch of time zones. Absolutely opposite world from you, and the AV sync is perfect. The audio, notwithstanding the servers and the restaurant noise background, and it's just fantastic. But so was this seminar yesterday. I'm going to play a bit of it now. Musler, who is a FOSI, has been on this show. It was one of our most popular segments, actually. When he came on, we were doing just kind of a state of the sport because he's a great writer. He's a great host. You are the co-host of this panel discussion. Set it up for us, and then I'll just play a little bit of it because it goes on for the better part of a half an hour. What were you actually talking about?
Yeah, well, this is about safety and the direction of what's happening to communicate in the media, in the modern media, which is, of course, what Sailing and Illustrated is about, in the modern media. And these guys were coming on about the foiling, one foiling magazine, and the guy with the headphones on has a brilliant podcast where he's giving direction and leadership. So these two are giving direction and leadership as to the approach and educating people in how to go about their foiling. And it was an iterative discussion led by Chris, me chipping in with an old man's view occasionally, but Chris really leading this and getting the conversation going about what foiling's doing and also the new behaviors we need to think about when we're operating in that sort of environment where we're moving at such speed on across the water and above the water.
Okay, well, let me just play the first minute or so of this to give everyone a feel, and then we'll come back to you.
Awesome. Welcome back to Foiling Week 2021 and the Gert Forum. I am your host, Chris Musler, and we also have my co-host, Bruno Gentoli and Andrew Pindar, live from Lake Garda. The good thing right now, at least for the forum side of things, is there's not a lot of breeze on Lake Garda, but we just had an amazing session with Sarakita and Oda, both from the Professional Windsurfing Association Tour. And they're 1-2 in the world for the past 5 or so years in the world champions in freestyle windsurfing, professional windsurfing. And they were raced. Now they're getting into IQ foil racing because it's now a foiling discipline in the Olympics. This is a nice segue because, hydrofoiling is new in the Olympics. It's kind of new in the world, and particularly with board sports, and we're doing more board sports. So we're going to be talking about foiling in the media. I write about hydrofoiling sometimes for mainstream media and the New York Times, but our two guests right now are pioneers, really, in the last 2 years or so in talking about hydrofoiling and opening up these conversations to the media. And we're so psyched to have them. It's so rare to have this moment in time where you have the first journalists covering a new topic. So without further ado, one of the editors at large and the gear reviewer for Foiling Magazine, Kel Van Cise. And then we also have Eric Antonsen from the Progression Project, is it?
Yep.
Awesome. It's basically the first podcast about hydrofoiling like ever. And the same thing with the magazine. And man, when I discovered both of these individuals and both of their media outlets, I was like, holy cow, I just heard about foiling. And all of a sudden I have a place to, that feeds me constantly information. And I know, like a lot of people in the world, we can't get an issue of Foiling Magazine or Kel's Friday Pump newsletter fast enough. And man, Eric, I have to tell you that there is not one hydrofoiler on the planet right now that as soon as they find your podcast, they're like binge listening, like they get in the car just to listen to it.
That's rad.
Yeah, so it's really fantastic. So before we get to Bruno and Andrew's questions, because this is new for them too, let's talk about that specialness. Eric, you talk about it, quite often. how rare it is to be early in the sport, and you talk about the equipment. But talk to me about the media side of things in the past 2 years.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good introduction without getting into the details, Andrew, but this went on for quite some time. I commend it to everybody. It is on YouTube, and you can have a look at it. And obviously these guys are, you know, foiling is a big deal, and it's come a long way, and it's nice to see. Okay. Andrew?
Oh, sorry, Tom. Yeah.
I'm just.
I thought somebody had scored behind me, and I was waiting for the whole place to erupt.
No, just give us the final kind of thumbnail on how this all went. Was there a principal topic that got discussed or even maybe decided? What was the focus?
Well, there was a lot of focus about how to engage with people in the sport, but it was a lot of focus about behavior and things that are established because of the rules of sailing, which need to be learned about people to operate within the new world of sailing when foiling is existing, because speeds have come up so quickly that we've got to then learn new behaviors and also the potential danger. So one of the sessions today was actually really about safety and that was about Sail GP, and there's a guy from Decathlon in France talking about how they're designing things that you've talked about and worries with NACRAs and so on, where there are dangerous edges to foils. That's the sort of thing that's coming through. Leadership, and something that you've been calling for and FOSIs have been calling for, is leadership on this side of foiling. And I'm glad to say that through Foiling Week, that's coming to the fore now.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. And we've got a lot of questions and comments. If you want to ask a question of Andrew, Julia's monitoring the comments over there too. But this is your chance, because we're going to let Andrew get back to dinner here. We've pulled him away.
Thank you.
I don't know the first question. I see, hold up your glass. I think you've got Vino Bianco there. And Stingray was asking, how was the house red, but you're drinking white? Why is that?
It was because it was the nearest bottle I could find before I came to talk to you.
Okay. Let's see, Gordon Smith, can I put in a request for Rod Stewart to sing I Am Sailing, I Am Sailing? No, we don't need to do that. They're all watching, everybody's in Europe at least is watching the footy. It's 2-1, still 2-1 Italy, I think. And
Gordon Smith said that.
Yeah, Gordon Smith was saying that, right, Julia?
Mm-hmm.
Luna Rosa AC designers were participating too, we hear, Stingray's saying. And we're wondering, so happy, Gordon Smith is saying, so happy to have this event and these classes getting lots of attention. Jody Shields is saying, see you soon in Wanji, down under in Wanji. Philip Haraldson is watching. Stingray is saying, Foiling Week had a great series of segments on YouTube last year, at least 2 that included Pindar, great stuff. The trend, Emmett is saying, in sailing is for lighter, faster boats. It's a natural progression. And then they're being, Stingray, I'm just waiting for Ehman to screw up and get instantly kicked off Facebook. Maybe World Sailing. No, we're not going to get kicked off Facebook today. We're not. Worley said his video locked up. Can you tell us on a separate topic, Andrew, tell us a couple questions about the Magenta Project. Tell us what the Magenta Project is and the current status.
Well, that's very kind of you to raise that, Tom. It's something I was about to slip my mind. But Magenta Project is all about advancing the opportunities for women in the sport of sailing, especially up to the elite level, where they can then have the opportunities to compete against the guys, where sometimes there's been a glass ceiling that they haven't been able to get through. And coincidentally, I'm a member of the board of the Magenta Project. I was the token male, and women will understand that the play and the joke within that, when often they end up being the token person on an all-male board. But I'm glad to say that for the last year or so now, Luca Rizzotti joined me as we internationalize the Magenta Project, led brilliantly by John Quill Hackenberg, who lives in Germany. So we're internationalizing foiling Magenta Project, and we're taking Magenta Project to all parts of the world to give women who are seeking to get into performance sailing and help them in that pathway. There are sessions every day here in Foiling Week for women coming together to talk about their own things that they need to be focusing on, because sometimes they're different to the guys, and they're coming together as a unified body to do that. There is in this coming week in Marstrand at the GHS match racing, there's a magenta representation there. And also next week in Porticervo in the 69Fs on the foiling monohulls there that Giorgio Benusi runs. Magenta have a boat within that. I'm proud to say that we're supporting both those boats through GAC Pindar. A little bit of a plug, sorry.
I was going to ask you, knowing fully the answer, I was going to ask you, who's sponsoring that team at the GKSS event next week?
Well, it's such a pleasure to be able to do that, because they, if we can level the playing field for people, then that's what we should be doing as a society, in my opinion, and certainly something that's core to our beliefs within our businesses and within the way we try and conduct ourselves. We're fallible human beings, but we really do try and do that. Magenta. The passion and the enthusiasm that exists within the Magenta projects, with Laura Penhall before John Quill led there, and earlier than that, it's just a fantastic program. So anybody who is keen to help get that balanced approach to the world of sailing, look at Magenta project. It's great.
Okay, Julia's got a question or here a comment actually from Krasimir. Naumov in Bulgaria.
That's right. He said, we'd like to participate in the Magenta project in Bulgaria, if possible. How do they do that?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. Send me a message. I'll respond and we'll make sure we make a connection. We're a voluntary organisation. We're trying to raise funds, and we're getting somewhere with doing that to be able to increase our professionalism. But there's so much goodwill that the voluntary behaviour, a bit like Paul Goodison and Tom Slingsby and what they're doing with Foiling Week, when you've got people who've got a commitment to something they believe in, you can move mountains, and that's what we're doing with Magenta. So if people want to get in touch with me, I'm very accessible.
Okay, we'll send. Thank you for that. Thanks, Andrew and Julia. We'll send an email right after the show to Krasimir and Naumov, who's a senior serious guy now in Bulgarian yachting, and anyone else who wants to contact, ping us here. Julia's keeping track, and we'll send you an email, all of you afterwards, on how to contact Pindar in his many, and he's like an octopus. He's got his sponsorship fingers, but forget about that. He is just a good influence.
Absolutely.
In the sport, and he's on here always and supporting the values and the ethics that we all do. One question before we let you go, Andrew, you've been discussing safety there, and by the way, welcome to Paul Streletsky, who's just come on live. He's another guy that's done heaps for the sport, as you know. You know Paul well, I'm sure. And
of course.
And stretcher on the pitch for an Italian player. Oh, that's sad to hear. Oh, I better not talk about soccer. We'll get knocked off the air. But just in terms of safety, we're all sad to hear about the broken leg of the Kiwi NACRA sailor who was training up in the Gold Coast, I think, in northeastern Australia, and they're up there, a bunch of them training, at least the Kiwis and the Aussies and maybe some others, training for Tokyo. And she fell off and hit her leg and broke it. And now, because of COVID and because Australia is locked down, which is separate from the safety issue of sailing foiling boats, but we wish her well. I can't remember her name. Jeff Waller will remember her name, or one of the other Aussies who's on here watching early in their Saturday morning. And they're trying to find a training replacement, but whether she can actually sail now in the Olympics is another issue. Any discussion about that there, about some of the accidents that have happened particularly in foiling NACRA?
It was touched on, because Laura Merriman, who is on the panel with me today, sailed on the NACRA, and we have really grown-up discussions about that. We also have grown-up discussions about accidents that happen at sea. On this lake with powerboats, just 2 weeks ago, 2 Italians were killed by a Riva Aqua Arma Special with 2 German people on board
dear.
who'd driven over them late at night. You know, accidents happen at sea, and so I think we've got to contextualize it. We need to do everything we possibly can within foiling to reduce the incidence of accidents, and what we're doing with protective clothing, what we're doing with training, what we're doing with crash pods or anything else on boats. But we also need to understand that sailing as a sport is a hazardous sport, and it's all then about preparation, planning, training, and having the right equipment, and not letting Billy go boating. The incidence of accident is often with people who aren't trained, who aren't prepared, who've never been there before. And Foiling Week is addressing that, because it's having training sessions and coaching sessions and getting people to understand. As the 2 guys from Chris Mueller's session yesterday were talking about that again as well. So I think we can address this. As much as you can never make the world covered in cotton wool, then we can make sure we've got the best standards possible.
Okay, well said, as usual. And the lady's name, as Jody Shields is telling us, reminding us, is Erica Dawson, the Kiwi who's been injured. And we had some pictures from the hospital bed that came off her Facebook page. I didn't think it was appropriate to put those on the air, but we wish her a speedy recovery. And it's doubtful whether she is going to be able to sail, from what we're all hearing. Warren Chaucer's down in Brisbane. He may know more about it too. John Emmett, accidents happen from personal experience. For sailors, I would suggest most of their injuries happen off the water. Yes, okay. Robin Pousset is saying, we lost 2 racers here in the U.S. in the past month. Last week in Washington State, we had a tragic man overboard. And Britt Taylor, a 12-meter sailor who fell overboard. And you knew Britt. I knew her barely. Who fell overboard.
I knew her quite well.
I
was really upset by that.
Yeah, and she was on a delivery from the Bahamas back to somewhere, Annapolis, I think. So, stuff happens, and we've got to be extra careful, and it's great that you're discussing that as one of your priorities there at Foiling Week. Last comment to you, and then we'll let you get back to dinner.
Oh, no, just to say that I wish Julia were here and not you, and I'm glad you're not, Tom, but I wish Julia were here.
Me too.
We all love it there. Yeah. And I don't know.
All joking apart, Tom, somebody saw you here last night in Malchesney. Somebody said to me this morning, we saw Tom Ehman. Tom Ehman's in town. I said, no, he's not. He's in San Francisco, pretending he's got COVID. But you have a doppelganger. You have a twin somewhere here in Malchesney this week.
Well, actually, I am in Malchesney, and this is my doppelganger here. And you're kind to say, I also see a comment here from Denise Peterson. Yes, I tested again after being crook for a week. And I tested again on, what day was our show? Tuesday. On Wednesday, and I got the negative back early Thursday morning. So hopefully and that's why Julia's down here today. Hopefully I'm over this, or will be shortly. Warm regards to everybody there, Andrew. Thank you very much for coming on from Lago di Garda, from Foiling Week. When does it end? Sunday?
It finishes on Sunday, yeah. But I'm getting nagged at because the whole party wants to go back to watch the end of the game. So
okay,
good.
I'm going to dive off.
Okay, we'll let you go. Big hugs. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Ciao, bye. Well, Julia, that was fun. Pindar's a good one, eh?
He is. There's who was it? A great compliment to him from Robin Pousset. He says, "Kudos, Andrew, for Magenta. You are a salt of the earth guy."
He is. And you know what? We're lucky because there are so many people like Andrew. This is a freeze frame. He's signed off now, but there are so many people like him in our sport. But he's really right at the top of the list. And another one we're going to have on with us, another Andrew, on Tuesday. McIrvin is coming on, the British surgeon and leader and longtime leader in our sport, RORC, and the International Max Association. But speaking of Lake Garda,
yes,
as I said, there's a lot going on there. Do you know what this is and where this is? This is up in the north in Riva del Garda.
And Riva, yeah.
And this is
the Centimiglia, is it?
No, it's the Opti Worlds.
Oh.
They had the opening ceremony last night. This is 300 sailors
Isn't that lovely?
From 58 nations. Now, if you go in there and look up here at the top, they're all kind of looking that way because up here on the top is where they are introducing teams, and the officials, I gather, are there, because this next slide, the slide after the one, will show you what's going on up there. It was the president of IOTA, Kevin Whitcraft, who officially declared it open. Ceremony strongly, the second paragraph, I wanted to read this. A ceremony strongly dedicated to the memory of Norberto Folletti, the president of the Italian optimist class, who passed away a few weeks ago, who strongly fought to ensure that 8 years after the last edition, the Opti Worlds would again be assigned to Italia. And there were some other mayors and other super important people there, president of the Italian Federation, Walter Cavalucci. But look down here at the last paragraph. The regattas for almost 300 young participants from 58 nations will start tomorrow, which is today, at 1 p.m. After 3 days of qualifying, the teams will be involved in 2 days of Team World Championship, and then on Wednesday, 7 July, the finals will begin, determining the 2021 Opti World Championship next Friday the 9th. So we'll keep a look on that, keep a watch on that, and cool stuff is happening at Garda. To wit, I was talking about that balcony there at the end of the of that passageway there. There is a team from what country?
Oh, I don't know.
Recognize that flag? That is Team RSA.
Oh.
The Republic of South Africa, representing the Royal Cape Yacht Club. They introduced the teams, and this came from one of our FOSI. And the team is composed of, team members are Sean Cavanaugh, Theodore Shader-Beeshan, Nicola Sadler, Elisa Flacone, and Mark Salder is coach, and Stefan Falcone is the manager. Sounds like a parent, but bravo Zulu to them, and thanks to FOSI Ted Reimann for sending along that cool photo.
Yeah, it is a great
picture. Bunch of teams there, 58 countries represented. So isn't that cool, Julia?
It is.
Nice stuff. If you're just joining us, we're about 47 minutes into our show number 434. Hard to believe, but when you do 2 shows a week, over 50 weeks, and a few other shows here and there, they all add up, don't they?
They do.
Been doing this for 4 years. This month, or really?
Yes, with shocking regularity.
Yeah, we get up sometimes as old as we are, or at least as I am, and I say, I don't know if I feel like doing this today. Should we keep it?
Yeah.
Publish or perish, but we do this because of cool people like Pindar and cool people like all of you. It's the FOSI. We keep saying this. Maybe that's the drinking word today, but it's the FOSI who make this possible, but also make it fun, and we appreciate all the contributions. We want a few more people like Pindar and McIrvin, and especially John Emmett, who will send us videos. You don't have to be fancy like Emmett is when he's got a camera and he's got a fancy Sennheiser microphone. If you put your iPhone, like we used to do when we started this show, you put it on a book on a table, or better yet, on a tripod with one of these iPhone clips, and shoot a 1 or 2 minute video with, it doesn't have to be a fancy background, and tell us what's going on in your neck of the proverbial woods. We'd really appreciate it, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Fine.
Warren Schasser from Brisbane is on here almost always. It's early in the morning there. It's 8:49 in Kiwiville in Auckland, so it's 6:49 or maybe even earlier than that in Brisbane. And we appreciate all of you from around the world, and people like Ted Reimann who send us stuff from regularly.
Yes.
From Cape Town. And it's a diverse group too. I mean, Reimann is a bloody motorcycle riding cowboy.
He is.
And, you got Stingray up in Seattle, who's just a rock and roll, nerd, former code jockey at Boeing, and everybody in between. It's cool, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, this day in history, Julie, do you know what happened on this day in speed? We're going to stay with Italy. Okay. What happened on this day in history in 1849? 2 years before America's Cup Zero, before the 1851 start of the America's Cup in that famous race around the Isle of Wight.
It was the year that California became a state.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
49? Oh, that's right, the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the name of our football team.
You bet.
And it was also the year of the gold rush here in California.
That's correct.
Right? When San Francisco really got built and it burnt like 6 times.
Yeah.
They kept building it up, and the winds would come in, and somebody.
And it would be overnight. It was gone. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what happened? And I'll give you a clue. Was in it. Well, here's your first clue. Who's this crouton? And he's not a crouton. He was a bit of a crouton. He was a bit of a cowboy, I should say. Who is that? Speaking of Italy,
I don't know.
1849, and he's famous in South America too.
Oh, in South America.
Matthias Collins. He's got 25 Optis at the club for beginners and then about 200 private ones down at his club in Argentina. We'll know maybe who this guy is. Giuseppe Garibaldi, born in 1807, died in 1882.
Long life.
Well, not, 70,
for him.
what,
I mean, for that years.
75 years for that era. He was born in Nizza, and he died in Caprera. He was an Italian patriot and soldier of the, I'm not going to, Risorgimento, a Republican, who through his conquest of Sicily, he led groups. He was a guerrilla warrior. He led groups that in conquest of Sicily and Naples, and his guerrilla red shirts, there it is, contributed to the achievement of Italian unification under the royal house of Savoy. It took him some time, and he was in and out of jail, and he was here, there, and everywhere. And, he had to fight off the Spanish. He had to fight off the French. He had to fight off other Italian groups. But he was a sailor. Garibaldi's family was one of fishermen and coastal traders, and for more than 10 years, he himself was a sailor. In 1832, he acquired a master's certificate as a merchant captain, and he served in the Navy of the Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. In fact, the first time I went to Sardinia, I think we had a windsurfer regatta. I was a chair of the jury, I think, for a windsurfer regatta there, and the name of the trophy was the Garibaldi Cup. He had come under the influence of a guy called Mazzini, who was one of the other fathers of Italia, Italy, and the great prophet of Italian nationalism, the French socialist thinker, the Comte de Saint-Simon. I pronounced that right. But he was one of the fathers, no doubt, of Italy. And what happened on this day in history? According to all the websites and the various biographers of Garibaldi, he began a hunger strike in Rome. And if you can tell me why he apparently was in jail. I don't know why. He was fighting. He was also fighting the church. He was fighting everybody to try to pull this country together.
Get some sense in there.
And exactly. And I don't know, Julia, why he began a hunger strike. Maybe one of you on here, smarter than I, will know. And on this day in history, but I thought it was a nice chance to tell the story. Of Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of, if not the father of modern Italy, on this day in history. Does anybody know? James Dickens will know. Clark Chapin, I am, Julia. California was accepted in the Union in September of 1850. Maybe Tom can strike his finger at you, Clark Chapin is saying.
It declared its independence in 1849.
From who? From Spain? Really? Okay, Clark's going to research that now. You watch, you're going to get a snarky comment back from him. Clark, who's one of our...
Oh, I love him. He's got to be, yeah.
Okay, let's get on to the Olympics here, because we got Pindar, who's on as usual, watching. He began, Shields saying, you see this? He's saying that Giuseppe began his hunger strike because the McFlurry machine was, maybe the pasta machine was. Now, I think he must have been imprisoned in Rome. He was fighting the church, and I couldn't find it. I looked for a half an hour this morning, and I don't have that much time in the morning to prepare these shows, and I couldn't find why he had a hunger strike. So one of you will know. Not because the McFlurry machine wasn't.
I was thinking there was the pasta service in the prison fell down.
Was not up to snuff.
Right.
Well, the Italians, they're great.
Yes.
With their
absolutely.
Their food service. I mean, we all eat Italian everywhere in the world, right?
Right.
We all like Italian. We all like Chinese. We like Thai food, I guess. But I think Italian is everybody's favorite food, isn't it?
Yeah. Well.
Who am I insulting here now?
I know. I don't know. McDonald's may question that.
Well. Let's carry on. We're going to get in trouble here. The Olympics, with Emmett's report, live from his home club this morning.
Hi, I'm John Emmett and I'm here at Castle Cove Sailing Club. Internationally, it's now day 5 of the Eurilka Radial Youth Championships, and they lost the first 3 days with no wind. Cracking day yesterday, 3 races sailed in 15 knots plus, but again they're waiting for wind today, so wishing them lots of luck. But the focus of today's little chat is ladies sailing, something which is vital for the sport. You wouldn't believe it if you look behind me. We had a sunny light wind morning here on Portland Harbour, and we had lots of ladies come out for the sailing. It starts about 9:30 in the morning. It's not racing, it's just an opportunity for people to get together and to have a little sail together with safety boats on the water, and often a little social afterwards, as much as can be allowed in the COVID times. And this means that people can go out and enjoy their sailing, and it gets everybody together on the water at the same place and at the same time. And this is something which has been going on for a very long time, and I'm pleased to say that the numbers are gradually improving, and I hope that's something that a lot of clubs all around the world can do, just to try and increase the female participation in our wonderful sport. So onwards and upwards.
Okay, that's Emmett from Castle Cove Sailing Club. John, of course, the esteemed Olympic coach, and he married well too, didn't he?
He did.
To Lily Zhu. And John, who's a regular FOSI and a regular contributor to the show, appreciate very much his reports. And that was from his home club of Castle Cove Sailing Club. And I called him this morning after he sent the link. You know, he said these are big files, and we download them and stick them into the show. And I said, John, that's great. People love to hear about local clubs, like when we had Karen Robertson up in Edinburgh talk about her club, or Clark Chapin talk about Portage Yacht Club, or we have the tour of Sydney Harbor from Pedro Foiling Sailor, Peter Stevenson. So I said, John, when you do your tape next Tuesday, you're still going to be at home. Yes. Well, then tell us about Castle Cove Sailing Club, which, by the way, is on an island around the corner from Weymouth, on an island, and there's a causeway out to it, not unlike Enoshima, and where the sailing's going to be in Tokyo. So I said, you know, do a little bit on your club. And I asked him, and he said, yeah, we have ladies sailing on Friday, every Friday morning. And then the cadets, under which he thinks were under 21 or under 22, are on, I think, Saturday. They have open racing on Sunday, and then they have weeknight racing on Monday and Wednesdays. And then other clubs in the area fill in on Tuesday and Thursday. So you can race practically every night of the week. We wonder why the Brits are so good at this sport. It's because of lots of little sailing, and it's not even that little a club, but lots of sailing clubs like Castle Cove, and John's going to tell us more about that on Tuesday, aren't you, John? Huh? You see any comments from him?
Not about that.
Okay. And of course, he's married to the famous Olympic gold medalist 2012, Lily Zhu, whom we've also had on this show. One of the smartest things he ever did. He coached her and then married her, or maybe she married him. I'm not sure which, but they got married. And she's now sailing because she's been injured, as you know. She's been sailing an RS Arrow of late at the Castle Cove Sailing Club in the Friday ladies sailing that we were just discussing. These are photos from today.
Oh, neat.
I had John kindly sent to us. And Lily Zhu, the gold medalist from China in 2012, is, I hope John is going to interview her on Tuesday as well. I asked if he would. She's busy because she's getting ready to go also to the Olympics to be a broadcaster. She took a broadcast degree at Southampton University. Remember that when she came on the show and told us all about that? And she's very physically fit, despite her, her problems, her physical problems as a result of all the years she spent in sailing a laser radial. That's the boat she medaled in. And
she's going to be a big contribution to the spreading of the sport because of her language and broadcast.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
exactly. And she speaks not only, I guess, Mandarin, but she speaks Shanghaiese. She's from Shanghai, I think, originally. And I've told you this story, Julia, about when I was doing Formula One, I took Mika Hakkinen to Shanghai for a big promotion. We set up a big promotion in Shanghai. And I took a friend of mine from London who is Singaporean and spoke 4 or 5 languages, including including Mandarin and Cantonese, and tell me what else. So we get to Shanghai. Well, we find out they're all speaking Shanghaiese, and all the mayor and the local official had a big dinner, and you know, we felt like croutons, including my interpreter friend Aaron Tan, who felt like a crouton, because there are 85 cities in China of over 5 million people. In fact, probably a lot more than that now, and they each have their own language. It's not just a dialect; it's a language. I mean, Cantonese and Mandarin are quite different. And people don't realize Spain is the same way. Spain has got all these comunidades, these regions, and they say Barcelona, they speak Catalan, and in Valencia, which is right next door, they speak Valenciano, which is the same as Catalan, but these two, they hate each other.
Yeah.
And have since the 30s, maybe longer, maybe for hundreds of years. So you say to somebody, well, isn't that Catalan? No, that's Valenciano. Don't ever say to somebody, it's the same language, essentially. It's even the writing with the strange things under the letters and so on. But the Mandarins in Madrid have mandated that everybody speak Castilian. Okay, enough of that cultural thing. But Lily, we're going to hopefully have an interview by John of Lily on Tuesday. Busy show on Tuesday because we also have Andrew McIrvin coming on, and we have another Road to the Governor's Cup segment on Tuesday. You also heard Emmett talking about the ILCA Radial Youth European Championship, which is going on in Croatia, 29th through the 3rd, and this is a massively cool event. I had no idea. Nobody sends me from that class, sends me the stuff, but we go looking for it. There are Radial Europeans, at the Radial Europeans, there are 72 girls and 217 boys participating through this tomorrow, I guess it ends, in Marina Castela in Croatia. And it's a fantastic event. Here's a little quick video.
New number on the sale?
No, this is a top. A lot of sailing at home and a lot of cycling. It was very cold, but we managed to do a lot of things.
Okay, and do you think you are prepared for this event?
For sure.
Okay. So you think you are well prepared for this event?
Well, hopefully.
Yeah. And what are your goals?
I'm still not too sure.
You're not too sure?
Maybe I hope to make silver fleet.
Yeah, I think for me, with all the lockdowns and stuff, it is just really important to get on the water, whether that's just by yourself locally or with another training partner. Because at times we weren't allowed to travel even to go and meet up with these guys, just a few miles away. So yeah, I'll just go out on water by myself, practice starting, mark roundings, or a bit of boat speed. Yeah, it has been tough, but I think just making most of those opportunities has really helped.
My name is Isabella Mendoza Cabezas. I'm from Florida, Key Biscayne Yacht Club, and to be here, it's very fortunate, and I'm very excited to compete in this regatta.
Okay, well, you get the idea, and cool stuff. And I urge people to take videos and just with your iPhone and walk through the dinghy park and take videos and put them up on the Facebook page or the YouTube channel. And it's great for our sport. And that was, okay, that music was semi-croutonic, wasn't it, Julia?
Mm.
Da, 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 da. You can tell I'm feeling better.
I know.
Or maybe not. But I haven't taken any drugs today, so I haven't taken any antihistamines or Dayquil or anything like I did on Tuesday just to get through that show. But look at this picture. So I'm looking into this event. I haven't heard, there's even an American girl. I didn't realize because I didn't look carefully at that whole video, but there's even that American gal from Florida. I didn't hear what yacht club did she say Clearwater? I didn't hear what yacht club. Now, Great photos. And this is a new guy. I exchanged an email with a new guy to me, and Emmett knows him well. It's a guy called Tom Tau, and he's from, I think, from the Netherlands. But he's there taking pictures, and he took this fantastic picture, and they're sending it out or putting it up. I can't remember where I got it, YouTube, on Facebook or their Insta or something page. They didn't tell us the name of the kid. I can't even tell if it's a boy or a girl. It looks like it's file number 053, but it's a cool, back it up. I don't want to look at that video again. Cool photo by this new friend, Tom Tao. I said, friend, I haven't met him, but I exchanged emails with him this morning because I thought he was from Tonga because his website is tomtao.to. And I had to go look, where's TO? Because, .ca is Canada, .au is Australia, .nz is New Zealand for these international URLs. .to, Tonga. Oh, I said, this guy must be from Tonga. How cool is that? And he's there at the Ilka somethings. But why don't they put the names of the people? When you put these pictures up, please, not just for lazy journalists like me, but these kids love to see their names and lights. That's why we're so careful about trying to get names and spell them right and pronounce them right. But regardless, thanks, Tom Tao, who is from the Netherlands. He emailed me back. He is not from TGA, is the country code for Tonga. TGA. And by the way, they get a vote at World Sailing, just like U.S., the one vote for the president. But what a cool photo.
Yep.
Here's another one of his photos. He gets faces. He's obviously terrific.
Yes. That's another good picture.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And we were blessed in our sport because not only do we have great photographers, but the sport is photogenic. And we should be pushing the hell out of this kind of stuff. There's another one of his photos. And he is Dutch. Tom Tao, I guess. Photography. And there he is.
Oh, good.
Cool.
Nice.
Obviously a cool guy.
Yeah, nice to meet him.
Nice to meet you, Tom, and hope to have you on the show sometime. So I'm doing, I think the guy's from Tonga, right? So I got to do a little dive into Tonga.
Yeah.
What's that flag? Some state of Switzerland? No, that's the Tonga flag. Why? I couldn't quite parse it. Somebody on here will know, probably Jeff Waller or one of our other Aussie friends or Kiwi
Tonga's
friends.
the only independent.
Well done.
Island
down in that corner.
Country, yeah.
And they were, even in their colonial times when they were under the Brit rule or somebody else's rule, they were always independent, and they still are.
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
Well, because Hamburg Süd goes
Your
there.
late great husband's shipping company,
right? And they have lots of Tonganese working with and for them. They set up a sailing school there.
Have you been?
Yes.
Well, you know it.
No, I don't know it. I've been, but I've only just popped in and out.
Well, I want to go. I mean, the place is fantastic. It's there between Fiji and New Zealand and Australia and locally, but it's officially named the Kingdom of Tonga.
It is the Kingdom of Tonga.
Exactly. It's a Polynesian country. It's also an archipelago comprising 169 islands, of which only 36 are inhabited. Total surface area is about 750 square kilometers, scattered over 700,000 square kilometers in the southern Pacific Ocean. A population of 100,000 resided on the main island of Tonga Tapu. Cool stuff.
Yes.
Now, for the Europeans, who discovered it?
Germany.
No. Here's a famous drawing.
Well.
From 1643. Same guy that, for the Europeans at least, who was the first European to discover Australia and New Zealand. One of the first.
Yeah.
Abel Tasman.
Oh, Tasman.
After whom the Tasman Strait is named, obviously. This is a drawing by Isaac Gilsamon from 1643 of those ships arriving of Abel Tasman. Now, I'm going to get a whole lot of comments on here from people saying, okay, here's the real deal, which is good. My family business, Gordon Smith, is saying, built a public clock for the Queen of Tonga, and it holds the Guinness World Record as the most remote public clock in the world, if it is still functioning.
Yeah.
See, I have Pindar's mug today.
Yes.
I put that over on my table instead of yours. So I give Pindar a little ink.
That's good. Yeah. That there are lots of lovely stories around there.
What a place. Who else? Nice mass trick. Yeah. Cook. No, Tasman Sea between Oz and New Zealand. Right, Jeff Waller. It's probably always Sunday regardless. It's the land down under than the land under down. Okay. So I'm sorry to digress, but we got a bunch of nerds on here too.
Yes.
Bright people who are they don't tune in to get all the yacht racing news and the latest videos. We want to talk about cool people and cool places, and that's a cool place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of cool people, we want to give out some Bravo Zulus here today. And she was watching earlier. I hope she still is. But this website of Harken, the fitting, the formerly yacht manufacturer, but make Harken fittings for boats, has posted 4 YouTube videos in the last 3 days. And this one with Harcooney, this one, An Ice Boating Tale with Peter Harken, I commend it to you. It's too long and it's a bit esoteric for today's show. But it is so funny, and it's Peter sitting out on the ice. They obviously filmed it over the winter. We had, Harcooney's been on the show. He's one of our favorite people in the sport, like Pindar. Mm-hmm. And Harcooney does this, then some other stuff. And it's stuff to promote Harken blocks and cleats and so on. But they also posted this thing with Luke Muller, who's our Finn candidate here from the U.S., and they're doing, I talked to Hannah Lee Knoll this morning, who heads comms up for Harken, and congratulated her because we're giving her this Bravo Zulu, but a laser Vang walkthrough with Olympic sailor Paige Rayleigh. And, it's cool stuff. Mm-hmm. And Bravo Zulu to the Harken YouTube channel. And here is the block. I'm not going to run the whole thing because I don't know how long it is, but it's several minutes long with Luke Muller about it. It's a tour of his fin, and he's talking about Harken blocks and cleats and so on. But so what? It's cool.
Hey Blockheads, how's it going? I'm Luke Muller. I'm the Finn representative for the Tokyo Olympic Games for the U.S. sailing team. Like you, I love tinkering with my boat, changing the lines and blocks and different systems to make the best boat possible. I'd love to show you my boat, give you a little tour, and share some of the love that I have for this class. The fin itself is really demanding. You got to be really smart, you have to be technical, willing to do experiments, but also work really hard physically. That has created a lot of really good sailors like Russell Coots, Giles Scott, Ben Ainsley, people that I myself and I know you look up to. It's certainly made me a better sailor, and some of my friends a better sailor, and it's really a joy. So like your Opti...
Yeah, so why did we take it out of the Olympics?
Really difficult in heavy
you
wind.
croutons at World Sailing. Croutonicism. Put it back in. It's just astonishing to think that we get people like this, and he didn't even mention, all the other, the legacy of this class going back to, the 50s. Unbelievable.
And fight against everyone else who's doing it. In that way, the Finn's really demanding, but it's really fun because the racing's really close.
And he is I don't know him well, but this Harken Blockheads, congratulations to Bravo Zulu, to Harken, to the people that make it happen, including and especially Hannah Lee Knoll. Don't spell my last name with a K. It's not Knoll like the international furniture manufacturer in my home state. Hannah Lee is a bright, cool person. She's originally from Minnesota. She's worked at Melgus for a while, and then now for 2 years now, I think it is, at Harken. And she's at home for the 4th of July. We spoke briefly this morning at her home club of Minnetonka Yacht Club. I asked her to say hi to Blake Middleton, their esteemed race officer. So Bravo Zulu, Hannah, for all you're doing and Harken is doing for our sport. Say hi to Peter Harcoon. Say hi to Blake Middleton, and Bravo Zulu to you. Now, we got another Bravo Zulu, and this, we played one of the first videos, I think the first video of this series, that featured Shirley Robertson and a team of kids racing in the Baldor. And this was the final video issued, I guess, yesterday or today. Have a look.
We still have 3/4 of a lake to go, and we're right with our opposition. It's about to get dark. We need to switch into night mode. We need to stay focused.
It's midnight, and you can probably hear we're going really well. We have good wind. We have the spinnaker up. We're in second place.
So it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You've just come into the small part of the lake. We can see Geneva, and right now we're fighting it out with 4 other Savos 33. Even after almost 15 hours of racing, we're really, really close together.
It was a lot of ups and downs, and that's what made it really exciting, is that it was never lost, it was never won.
When I first met the team, and actually the first time we went on the boat, I couldn't see how it was going to work. They were a group of people, most of which sail by themselves. They're used to making all the decisions themselves, and they're used to success. They're really competitive, driven. The first day on the boat was challenging. I mean, they all spoke at the same time. They all wanted to do every job, and I couldn't see how that team would ever, melt together. But actually, with a day's training and then in the heat of competition, they found their place.
So it's what time? Like 3.5. We are happy to finish, but we are really tired, and we did a very good move, but as well some bad. It was difficult, but it was very nice race.
I think one of my favorite moments was the night when it was completely dark and we could see the stars, and there was finally wind that we've been waiting for so long. Right now we're going really fast. This is the fastest we've been the entire race, so that's very uplifting.
I really enjoyed the fact to share with the others, like, look here, it's Lausanne, look here, it's this mountain, and to at least that when they go home, they learn more than just sailing. They learn also about Switzerland and the beauties of the country.
Cycling uphill the mountain with the e-bike was amazing.
I remember Maxim saying to the team, guys, just be quiet for a moment and enjoy this moment. It was sunset, like we could hear the water on the Hoe. It was beautiful.
That was nice. Yeah.
My dear friend and co-host.
Yes.
Supervising producer.
Yes.
Why don't we see more videos like that?
No, it's just wonderful.
Fantastic, wasn't it?
Yes.
And bravo Zulu to Mirabal and to SNG, Société Nautique Genève, to everybody involved in that race, and to Shirley Robertson especially, who they hired to come pull that team together and obviously make a video to promote it. But if you're going to do something, why not?
Yes.
Now, what was the best thing about that video?
It was people-oriented.
And what else? What did that show that we keep talking about on this show that I just think was so cool? I always say, why don't we do more of this? Get kids to go on big boats.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is not exactly offshore sailing, but it's it's distance racing, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, my poor old back. Too many years hanging over the side of lasers and fireballs and 470s and Flying Dutchman and Sunfish and everything else. But how cool is that?
Terrific.
Get kid and look at this kid. I don't know who he was. He's saying, look at the beauty of the mountains, and we're looking at this.
Yeah.
And we're learning something besides just how to start and to rock and roll and pump and roll tack, and get kids on big boats and distance races, give them a different experience. And with somebody like Shirley Robertson.
Wow. Yeah.
How cool is that?
Absolutely. And that's how I was.
Look at all the hearts, the hearts and the thumbs up.
Yeah. That's how I was introduced to sailing.
Well, you came in cocktail cruising with the Commodore of the St. Francis Yacht Club. You went all over the world. You got to go to the 6-meter challenge in the America's Cup. And
yes.
Come on, look at what you got to do.
Lots.
Because you're cool. Wonderful experience, Gordon Smith is saying, but especially a wonderful experience for a young crew. Beauty of a video, Stingray saying. Warren Chaucer is agreeing, I think. Teamwork, keelboat sailing. Matthias Collins is saying, absolutely. Ralph Roberts is on. Hello, Ralph. You've been on and off today. Fantastic stuff.
Yes.
Now, Julia, have you seen, have you figured out what the drinking word is today?
No.
I have. I'm looking in the comments. It's not ETNZ. It's world sailing.
Oh. Well, it hasn't been that.
World sailing. Take a drink. A little ice. Hello, Anthony Payne.
Yeah.
Alan Long, yeah, eye-opening. Kurt Lahr. Hello, Kurt. We're just about to get into a segment featuring your kid. This is the end of the third. We're going to do another Bravo Zulu because there's so much cool going on in our sport. And Bravo Zulu to Owen Lahr of Richmond Yacht Club, just up here in the North Bay, on the other side, up north of us here on San Francisco Bay. And Owen and his crew, this is breaking news, they have received and accepted an invitation to the 2021 Gov Cup at Balboa Yacht Club. We're delighted to hear this. And Kurt, his dad, who's on here and is a FOSI, spelled it out. The 54th edition of the Gov Cup will take place in the Gov Cup 22s down at Balboa Yacht Club, July 26th to the 31st of this month. The Gov Cup's the oldest and most prestigious youth match racing regatta in the world, with the first event held in '67. Its alumni, who hail from 16 countries and 5 continents, are among the most famous and successful international sailors. Yeah. So Bravo Zulu to Owen Lahr, Kurt's son. Kurt wrote that, posted it on his Facebook page. But Owen was 3rd or 4th at the Rose Cup, and we know that the first place team was Jeffrey Peterson, who we featured already in Road to the Gov Cup, and who's a contributor to Sailing Illustrated, been on the show a number of times. And on Tuesday, we're going to have another one of the Gov Cup sailors, and then it looks like next Monday or next Tuesday as well. But you recognize this name, Julia?
Yes.
Owen Lahr.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize this face?
No.
This is a distant relative of Owen Lahr.
Must be another Lahr.
It is a Lahr. It's Bert Lahr.
Oh, Bert Lahr.
Now, who was Bert Lahr?
I don't know.
He was. I asked this morning. I asked his dad. I asked Kurt this morning. Are you related to Bert Lahr? Oh yeah, distant relative, but we're related. 1895 to 1965. He was a vaudeville actor of considerable repute, but more importantly, he was
a sailor. Oh.
Oh. He was the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz, 1939.
Oh,
you know who owns that movie now? Ted Turner, Turner Classic.
Oh.
Or maybe it's somebody else now, but Turner bought all those movies. But
yeah.
So this guy Bert Lahr, I don't know if he was a sailor or not. I mean, that's asking too much. But look at this kid, and we're gonna get Owen on here. We'll do a Road to the Gov Cup segment. Look at how much they look alike. Not the lion with
not
the makeup.
Lion.
But with the upper left corner shot,
yeah,
I thought Owen's watching this. I don't know if he's watching. He's probably out sailing, doing something more important than watching TFE live. But Bravo Zulu also to Owen and his team. A couple of years ago, they were second in the Sears Cup. The Sears Cup is the national triple-handed junior championship. He did better than I did. I finished 3rd in it. But he was second, and they are now headed to the Gov Cup. Now, this kid, who's one of his teammates, and is also going with him to the Gov Cup, is Connell Phillips, also from the North Bay. And you find out, you start researching these people, and you find these things out. This kid is a cool, bright kid. He's crewing for Owen. Now look he's a nerd, but he's also a jock. Connell enjoys tinkering and taking things apart to see how they work, whether it's a winch on a FAR 40 or his friend's drone. He isn't afraid to roll his sleeves up. His ultimate dream is to be a part of an engineering team for the America's Cup, because it showcases the highest levels of racing with the fastest sailing machines. It's the Super Bowl of sailboat racing. He also aspires to one day do the Cup as a sailor. He was a 4-year varsity swimmer and water polo player in high school. He plans to sail at the University of Vermont and continue a high-level fitness regimen while studying mechanical engineering. And he is now, that was from a couple of years ago, courtesy of Oak Cliff Sailing, where he also worked and trained and helped out. You know what UVM stands for? I don't know why. It's University of Vermont, and it's UVM, I guess, to distinguish from University of Virginia or something. Yeah. He's a jock nerd, obviously. Cool kid. Mm-hmm. Governor's Cup crew, and we got to feature him as well. Bravo Zulu to Owen Lar and to his crew and the rest of them who are headed to the Gov Cup here in 3 weeks' time. The road to the Governor's Cup, and we're recording a segment with him on Monday. That is with one of the best sailors in this country today, Jack Egan, San Diego Yacht Club. We told you about him on Tuesday, and he was runner-up after going like 14-0, maybe 17-0 in the preliminaries at the Rose Cup and then the quarters and the semis, and they got beaten by Jeffrey Peterson in the finals. But Andy Rose and I will record a segment with Jack Monday morning, and we'll have that to air for our Road to the Gov Cup segment on Tuesday's show. One other preview we've got coming up in Plymouth. We've got Sail GP coming up in a couple weeks' time, 17th through the 18th. And I think this, if it's anything like the event we had for the AC-45s there in, tell me when, must have been 2011 or 12. And it was a terrific event, a lot of wind. There were some capsizes. But I think this Sail GP event will be as well. Have a look at their preview.
Sail GP is a global championship powered by nature. 9 Sail Grand Prix take place across the world, culminating in a winner-takes-all podium race for $1 million. 8 national teams are represented by the world's greatest athletes. Data is shared between the teams, so there's nowhere to hide on the race course. The 8 boats are at the cutting edge of technology, hitting nearly 100 kilometers per hour flying above the water in close quarters combat on short, sharp circuits. Off the water, Sail GP is racing towards a cleaner future, developing technology and pushing boundaries in the battle to change the way we think about our planet. This is Sail GP. This is the race for the future.
Okay, that's a brand new video, The Race for the Future, Sail GP powered by nature. I liked it a lot. Quick and short and sharp. And this is the race course in Plymouth. And it's interesting, the Brit team, apparently, there's some question whether Ainsley's going to be there now or not. Originally, they said he was not going to be, and that Goody, was it Goody? Was going to steer the boat for both the next 2 events? Or he did for the last one and for the next one, we'll see. Remind me who it was. Those of you who are watching will know better than I. John Emmett will know. This is the race course in Plymouth, and you know the Ho is up there at the top. The Ho, the waterfront access and premium, and there's the Adrenaline Lounge is what they call their VIP lounge up there on top of the hill, and the viewing up there is terrific. I commend it to you. I hope it is a terrific event. And I hope you can all get there the 17th, is anybody in the neighborhood and otherwise so inclined, 17th through the 18th of July, the Sail GP, Great Britain. And it is what, the 3rd event of the year, 3rd of the event. Is that right? We had Italy. Is that right? I think it is.
I think it is.
The 3rd event. Okay, we shall progress then with a little cup update. This is just for fun because I love this guy. Everybody does, but there's no real update. In fact, I'm going to not play it now. I'll show you a slide at the end of the show that one of our, was it Goodson who took the helm of GBR in Toronto in Italy? That's who I thought it was, but I'm old and I'm tired, and it's 2:30 and here, and we've been going at this. Remember the words of Joe Louis, the boxer, Chapin is saying, who asked about an upcoming opponent with good footwork. He can run, but he can't hide. I was there for the cows event, capsized by US 50. Yeah, Jack Everett, that was there was a lot of breezing cows last year. John Emmett, Magnus also said the Olympics was going to be canceled. Well, we won't talk about Magnus's predictions. he does go out there and make some predictions. We do too, but we, so far, knock on wood,
better sources.
Well, we're also pretty cautious. I mean, we do triple source our one hears before we go flying off the handle. AC-37 Cup date. This is a video released. You know, they're trying to fill time before they come to 17 September when they're going to, or before, but they say the deadline is the 17th of September by when they will release the protocol and announce the venue and the timing for the next event, whether it's a one-on-one or a multiple challenge. But have a look at this video of the final race, the final bit of the final race, and not the television commentators, but the radio commentator par excellence, at least for this time, the voice of the America's Cup, PJ Montgomery.
The crew on Team New Zealand, Peter Burling as helmsman and skipper, Blair Tuke as flight controller, Glenn Ashby as trimmer, and Andy Maloney offside control, Josh Jr. offside control. The 5 brilliant drains trust putting this boat in the right spot. But spare a thought for the grinders, particularly in race 8, when all of them were spent and many couldn't keep their lunch down. Lewis Sinclair, Carlo Huisman, Maurice van der Poel, Mike Lee, Stephen Ferguson, Marcus Hansen, Simon Van Hulten, Finn Henry. Boy, oh boy, it's been some day for them. The end of an America's Cup like no other. For the first time in 170 years, foiling molar holes, the build-up disrupted by the COVID pandemic, the Powder Selection Series began in mid-January, and then we had Luna Rossa making it a challenger from Italy for the 3rd time. Day 5, and finally there was a lead change in the races. Race 8, bizarre, surreal, you just could not make it up. Top sport, a study of people under stress, but race 8 was not just the sailors, were there enough defibrillators for the fans? And then Emirates Team New Zealand went on to win a thriller yesterday. And now in the closing stages of this pulsating match, Wednesday, 17 March 2021. It's history on the waters of the Hauraki Gulf, set against the iconic landmark of Rangitoto Island. Team New Zealand, the most successful team in the 170-year history of the America's Cup, successfully defends international sport's oldest prize again. The America's Cup remains New Zealand's cup. Emirates Team New Zealand, the representative team of the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, have become the first team, and the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, the first yacht club to successfully challenge and defend the America's Cup twice. San Diego 1995, Auckland 2000, Bermuda 2017, and now Auckland 2021. Team New Zealand are still the giants of world sailing and set a new standard in the 36th edition of the America's Cup.
Don't worry
about the sails, boys. Unreal. As Luna Rossa come down to the finish,
turn all the way up
Gate 5 and 6 in Jimmy Spittle. They finished 46 seconds astern. And there's more. Until today, there has only been one sailor who's won an Olympic sailing gold medal and skippered the winning yacht in America's Cup. Peter Burling joins Russell Coots as the only 2 sailors to win an Olympic sailing gold and helm an America's Cup winner.
America's Cup 36. Congratulations to both teams. Incredible match. Race committee out.
Okay, you heard that last little bit was from Ian Murray, the race director. Congratulations, AC-36 is over. But is PJ the best or what?
Now, I know.
Now that wasn't live, as you know. That was tape, edited together, and then they had PJ. You know, he wrote some stuff, and he looking at a screen like this, and then he voiced it. But he's not reading a script. I mean, the guy knows what he's going to say. He is the best. He's always been the best, and I'm glad to see. I don't know what's going on, Julia, but it looks like he and Grant Dalton have buried the hatchet.
Oh, that would be good.
Because remember, PJ was also in the on the stage there when they did the prize giving. Bruno was up there and sort of got the thing going, but then PJ did his thing and was introducing the players and doing most of the work for the local crowd, I think. And that I also took as a good sign, because the guy is the best, right?
Yes.
I've got to get him on the show.
Why was he? Well, we don't know why he was flicked.
Well, I think there was some bad blood.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be on the TV, and Dalton didn't want him on the TV, or I don't know.
We don't know.
Everybody's asking me to say a one here. I'm not going to say it. I have a pretty good idea, but I've been asked not to say why. Clark Chapin, if, as PJ said, Team New Zealand are still the giants of the world sailing, why doesn't World Sailing move to New Zealand? Double drinking game points. Clark's clever. David Bray is watching. Hello, David. Yeah, there was, and John Emmett, there were a different class. Mark Husted is saying, they were a different design and different class in design. And Emmett was saying once they got ahead, Enzel was in a different class once they got clear. But PJ is in a different class by himself.
Yeah.
The crowd needed a
he sort of invented that patois of sailing broadcasting.
Patois. Now see, Pindar would be proud of you. You and he speak French. I don't, obviously.
I can't claim to really speak it. Yeah.
Why? And Stingray saying, I love how Peter Montgomery's voice is stuck in all caps. I don't know how the rest of you feel. That seems to me, that video we watched, that event seems like it happened a year ago.
Yeah.
Not, what is this, July 2nd? So what is it, 4 months? March, April, May, June. Yeah, it's not even 4 months, is it? It's a little more than 90 days. So it's okay. Now, coming to our own show and the problem we had last Tuesday, I'm going to ask your considered opinion, all of you, FOSI and everybody on here, is it correct or croutonic for us to move to YouTube? I back on Facebook today, and I have an idea I'll put to you in a sec, but I want to get your comments. Kurt Fatoris is watching. Yeah, is all caps up patois. Clark Chapin is saying. We've got this love-hate relationship with Facebook. They are croutonic. A lot of people will not come on Facebook to watch the show. They simply don't like Facebook. They don't like whatever privacy issues they think there are, or in fact are. They don't like Zuckerberg. They don't like people. Facebook's very aggressive canceling, but more than that, censoring policies of people. We ran after we got knocked off the air on Tuesday, we quickly shifted over to YouTube and ran the last part of the last, 2/3 of the show on YouTube. Then I merged the two in post-production and put them up both on Facebook and on YouTube. You all seem to like the commenting here on Facebook. You like to be able to talk to each other. You like to give thumbs up to each other's comments. YouTube is just serial commenting. You can't do much more than put in, at least in live, and it's even more restrictive in replay when you're watching it in replay. We can do it on either. We can do 1080p 60 frames. It can be a higher res, although most of you are watching on your phone, which is only a 480p device, and we've gone through that. I don't want to go into the pros and cons. Tell us whether you are happy for us to stay here. Tom, you were able to stream on both. Yes, I can, Matthias, stream on both at the same time and elsewhere, but it's expensive and it's a little more complicated than what we're doing right now. YouTube has fewer streaming problems, but the comment threads are tricky to follow. I await for others to decide, Gordon Smith is saying. I know that PYC stalwart Jim Meyer has a definite opinion. Jim Meyer, who's a techie, does not like Facebook Live. I have senior serious New York Yacht Club friends of our ilk and age, Julia, who will not go on Facebook. They do not trust it, do not like it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you all think. I ask you whether it's croutonic to move to YouTube. And yeah, I can do both, but Facebook is better even though it's controlled by idiots, Reimann is saying. Here's what I propose. We'll continue to stream on Facebook. I'll try not to play any soccer
yes.
any soccer videos. And I will redouble my efforts to immediately the show is over, because now that we got this new computer and we got a much better, I can, in post-production, take the show and upload it to YouTube much more easy than I used to be able to with this new fancy. Thanks to our FOSI, thanks to our super FOSI, who have contributed some big chunks of change to help us upgrade this whole thing in front of me.
And it's terrific.
Notwithstanding what Julia does to keep us alive here and let us have the studio and the apartment and so on at a cheap price.
You should be so lucky.
I am. I appreciate it. So unless you have a better idea, and you don't have to say now, but ping me afterwards, we will continue to stream on Facebook Live, and until we can start to stream to the website or other places, that takes some time and some money and so on, and testing. But until we can do that, we will then, after the show's over, I'll put it up to YouTube so you can watch a replay. If you don't want to watch it on Facebook, you can watch it on YouTube. I did that for a while, but it was a lot of work, especially with the old computer. Now it's quite a bit more easy. From the non-sailing people, I would prefer Facebook, but do either. Just let me know. Just we need to know where. I like the split screen, Alex. You guys aren't serious. If you don't, maybe I should ask World Sailing. World Sailing, I'm sure, has a World Sailing. Mark said, you guys have been down this road and the viewers are less interactive on YouTube. Yeah. You were set on here, Roger Prout is saying. We're all used to it. How does movement to YouTube affect your live? I'm not, you know what? I'm not worried about the live viewership. Julia and I have talked about this. It's what's more convenient for you all, what you all think, our core FOSI. Type that before TFE's proposal. Yarvahe is saying Facebook better because of the comments format. Well, everyone who are the live streaming experts, which I'm not, but I do go on and look at, survey other people and say, Chapin is saying, as the navigator, I would favor live streaming on Facebook but posting later on YouTube. Okay, well, Clark's got, I think, the answer. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Roger Proud is saying, Stingray, almost the only time I ever use Facebook is to watch the show, and it is a good format for it. Okay, it sounds like most of you are content for us to stay on Facebook. We shall do so. Facebook is getting better, I think. I hope. But that's the deal, Julia. Do you agree? We'll stay on Facebook, and I will redouble my efforts to take the show, cut the top, and edit a little tighter, and then put it up on YouTube. So those of you who don't want to watch it here can watch it on YouTube in replay. Okay, done deal. Julia, what else here? I guess we're to our final segment. I love this picture. This is a still of Pindar after he shut down the Skype from the Trattoria. The Trattoria.
That's a great picture, actually.
But this is our second. Now we've got a segment after this. Now this used to be our final segment. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, with contributions from our FOSI. Used to always be about COVID, but it's about lots of things now. And this was from one of you who's on here right now watching, sent me this morning and said, oh, Tom, there's new stuff. Bruno Troublé is saying via stuff.co.nz that the Cup is going to be back in Auckland. In America's Cup 2020, next challenge more likely in Auckland the next year, notwithstanding that this was an article from the 29th of March on stuff.co.nz after Bruno got interviewed by that good newsletter we keep telling you about, Tip and Shaft, that comes out on Fridays. That's free with the strange name. I won't say it because you'll wag your finger at me. Tom, don't talk about the Tip and the Shaft. But Bruno said this, not today. I mean, you got to run this. Bruno says it's going to be in Auckland, and he'll know. This is on the 29th of March. He was wrong then, and he would be wrong now. It's not going to be in Auckland. I mean, it could be. Anything's possible, but the chances are not strong. Common sense. You can't buy it. Look at this kid. What a crouton. He is an asterisk. Got his hat on backwards. And he's shielding his... He's from the sun at what appears to be a tennis tournament. This courtesy of Jeff Waller. Our FOSI, Jeff Waller.
I've never understood the backward...
Oh, it's a cool look. It's a cool
look on no one.
Well, you don't even like to wear baseball caps.
No.
I don't either. Except when my hair's, I haven't had a shower and I come up here to do so, I have to put a hat on. Here is one for us, Julia. I don't know. I can't remember who sent this to us, but funny thing about getting older, your eyesight starts getting weaker, but your ability to see through people gets much better. Isn't that the truth?
Absolutely.
That is the truth. Okay, that's about it for us, except for the finish line. We want to go to the finish line, talking about scows and scout country, but just we want to say to all of you celebrating it this weekend, a lot of people started today. It's a long weekend. In fact, the official celebration for Independence Day is Monday, even though the 4th of July is Sunday. Everybody has Monday off. Fireworks this weekend, celebrating our Independence Day, our 4th of July. So all of you who are celebrating, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. And for those of you down in Florida and in the Caribbean, take care, because this tropical storm, the first one of the season, Tropical Storm Elsa, has become the first hurricane of 2021 after it strengthened rather quickly. They were calling it to be a tropical storm.
Yes.
Up through, really up through the islands and into Florida. But now they say it's a hurricane. And as Elsa moves into the northern Caribbean, it will have some land interaction, possibly with Hispaniola and Cuba, which should weaken the storm. But the National Hurricane Center reported a sustained wind of 74 miles per hour, a gust of 86, Friday morning in Barbados. So the forecast confidence is not great. In fact, the European model and the American model, they show completely different paths, east Florida, west Florida. But hopefully those of you in that part of the world will survive this in good shape, including especially in Florida, and those poor folks that in Miami where that condo collapsed. That was not correct. Julia?
Yes, please like, follow, and share.
Indeed, and thanks to you, Julia, for all you do for us. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate it, as you know. Comments are always welcome, especially even in replay, but especially in replay. We do go back and read them for a couple of reasons. We want to hear it and see what you said, whether live or in replay, but to be sure we don't have any croutons on here that don't follow our prime directive, but everybody does. I mean, it's been so long since somebody was an asterisk on here, a crouton.
Yeah.
So. Please, Joy, go ahead.
No, and if there was one that disappeared.
It just not only disappears, but we're kind of to the point where we don't even go on, because we're so busy and there's so many people. We used to go on and say, hey, take that down or you're going to get blocked.
Yeah.
If somebody does a personal attack, name calling, coarse language, we just block them once and for all, and they're gone.
Yeah.
One strike and you're out. If you're so inclined, please join us on as a patron, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Julie, any last minute comments?
No. Have a happy 4th of July. A bang up 4th of July.
Bang up 4th of July. And I hope you have a great weekend. Happy 4th of July. If you're celebrating that, and by the way, next Tuesday, please report Andrew McIrvin is back. We'll also have another segment for Road to the Governor's Cup. And also we've got the Lily Zhu being interviewed by John Emmett about the Olympics.
Oh,
so
good.
we got 3 really cool segments for live and recorded. And McIrvin will be live on Tuesday. In the meantime, we hope to see you then. Have a great weekend wherever in the world you are. And we hope you sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao.